Hello again to all my brothers and sisters back home in Louisville. This is Stephen Piercy coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada at the 29th International Convention of the Teamsters Union. Today was day 4 of the convention, Thursday, June 30th. Just before we get started, I apologize. I'm a little under the weather, so my voice is giving out, and if I'm clearing my throat a lot, that's why. We're going to do things a little bit differently on this recap. A lot happened today that I want to keep you guys informed of, so I'm going to split this video into 2 parts. The first part is going to be kind of my normal report I've been doing, and the second part will get into what happened near the end of the day with the constitutional amendments. So just to get started, the day started out with the election supervisor coming on stage to get the final round of nominations started. Nominations today were for the General President and General Secretary Treasurer positions. The rules are slightly different for those positions. It still requires a delegate to nominate, another delegate to second, and the candidate to accept or decline, but the speeches they get to give are a little longer. So the person originally nominating gets 5 minutes to speak, the person who's seconding gets 2 minutes, and then the nominee gets just a brief statement they make when they accept. Full speeches by the candidates are given tomorrow on the last day of the convention. So there were 2 people nominated for each of the 2 positions. Then the election supervisor explained the rules, which goes back to the first type of rules where, unlike regionals from yesterday, all delegates vote on these 2 positions. So once again, the nominees have to get 5% of the total delegate body to get on the ballot this fall. And voting for that will take place at 5 p.m. at the close of the convention today. There were a couple reports done throughout the day. The Appeals Committee submitted a report. The Human Rights Committee submitted a report basically stating that the union still needs to do a lot of work to push for diversity and inclusion. There were a few presentations given throughout the day. One was a presentation about sanitation workers, and it had a video presentation about the workers' strike at a sanitation plant in Memphis, Tennessee back in 1968. That's actually where Martin Luther King Jr. was unfortunately assassinated. It talked about the continuing struggles of organizing and dealing with sanitation companies today. Several veterans of the '68 sanitation strike were brought on stage to speak about their experience. So that was pretty interesting to see. There was another discussion about organizing at Taylor Farms, which is a severely anti-union company. Not a lot of progress has been made in that, but the fight continues. Hopefully they'll be able to, those employees who want to organize will be able to get that done soon. The other big discussion was about rail safety. There was a lot discussed in this part. There have been a lot of rail employees unfortunately get killed on the job in the last several years. In particular, there was 2 trains in Amarillo, Texas that were put on the same track, and they had a head-on collision. And there is a system that was invented a long time ago called Positive Train Control (PTC) that makes sure that there's never 2 trains on the same track at once. And if that system had been in place, that crash wouldn't have happened. But that rail company didn't want to put that system in place. They didn't want to spend the money to put that safety measure in. And as a result, 3 rail employees died. 2 of them were Teamster members. So obviously we have a lot of work to do in the rail department to try and force some safety issues on these companies. Then there were 4 resolutions throughout the day. Several of them were tied to the presentations that I just spoke about. There was one resolution about working towards inclusion and diversity in the union. There was another resolution about fighting for worker justice in food supply chain industries and continuing the organizing drive at Taylor Farms. There was another resolution about organizing in the waste industry and committing to build a movement for workers to get dignity for waste workers. And then there was a resolution about the rail safety that we discussed a moment ago, wanting the IBT locals and joint councils to focus on fixing the safety issues in that industry through legislation and pressure on the companies so that they stop placing profits over the safety of our members and human lives. There were several guest speakers throughout the day. A gentleman named Dorian Warren from the Roosevelt Fellow, a congressional representative from Arizona named Ruben Gallego spoke. The one I found the most interesting was a guy named Jose Hernandez. He was a Teamster factory worker a long time ago, and he basically spoke about how he dreamed of being an astronaut his whole life, and he continually applied to NASA. 11 times he was rejected by NASA, but the 12th time in 2004 he finally got accepted. In 2009 he was on a shuttle mission to the International Space Station for 14 days. So they had some video of that, and that was a pretty interesting presentation. And then there was a video presentation and discussion with a bunch of different people being interviewed on screen about horse carriage drivers who were Teamsters in New York City, and the fight to keep those people employed. Mayor de Blasio of New York City, when he was first elected, he wanted to get rid of those jobs because he thought they were cruel to the animals, outdated. But those have been Teamsters jobs since almost the founding of this union. I mean, we have horses in our logo because of jobs like those. So Teamsters rallied around those jobs, managed to stop them from being removed. So that was a pretty nice presentation talking about all that. So that was the majority of the day. After that, near the very end was constitutional amendments, and a lot of stuff happened in that. So I'm going to cut this video, this section of the video, and we're going to come back with part 2 that's going to talk about what happened during the constitutional amendment. So stay tuned for that one. Thank you.